Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
North Dakota citizens will now have the opportunity to vote on a personhood amendment. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Shawn Akers, vice president of Middle Eastern Affairs for Liberty Counsel. Shawn, this is historic. North Dakota's legislature became the first in the state to pass a personhood amendment, and thus the citizens of North Dakota will have the opportunity in November of 2014 to vote on this amendment as part of their constitution. This is the third pro-life piece of legislation passed by North Dakota's legislature this year.
You know, Matt, North Dakota right now is making their place in history. They're literally stamping their name in advance by something they're going to be very, very proud of later. I thought about this just recently when I saw the movie Lincoln that was going through the passage of the 13th Amendment. And there's a place in that movie where everybody gets it, that what they're doing is going to have tremendous impact. The votes are becoming tight, and the Speaker of the House speaks up and says, wait a minute, there's one more vote to be cast, I'd like to vote. And they said, well, you don't usually do that. The Speaker of the House doesn't normally vote. And he said, well, this isn't normal, this is history. He got it. He wanted his name to go down as bringing an end to this travesty of slavery. What we're seeing with North Dakota is the same kind of advanced thought, that they'd like to be the ones that acknowledged a human life as a person, even at conception, and they should be applauded for what they've done.
Well, the three pieces of legislation that have been passed now, in addition to this one that we just talked about, there's two others. One is the pro-life bill that says that abortion is impermissible for this Down syndrome or for abnormalities. So in other words, you cannot select someone for an abortion because they have Down syndrome. So that's the first state in the country to protect people that others call disabled. You know, the fact is, whether you're abled or disabled is not really reality. It's in the eyes of someone who's commenting on that person. We've been around a lot of people who someone might say they're disabled, and they're the most abled person, the most energetic person that you can imagine being around. So this is historic. They are protecting those most vulnerable in the womb. And that's one of the pieces of legislation first in the country. You know,
and that one should be especially egregious to us, Matt. That is the same kind of eugenics talk that we saw in Buck v. Bell, that we've seen in a poor time in America's history.
And that's a case, by the way, that went to the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's correct.
And the justice wrote that 3 generations of imbeciles were enough.
Yep.
In other words, it's time to sterilize, and the state can sterilize in order to stop this continued birth of low IQ individuals.
That's right. The state was making a decision there. The Supreme Court, in that horrible statement that 3 generations of imbeciles is enough, was deciding whether a lady who the state didn't deem to be a quality member of society should have her reproductive capabilities terminated. What we're seeing in this particular case, Matt, is making a similar call on behalf of unborn children, where the state would create a mechanism for parents or doctors to say, you know what, this baby doesn't meet our genetic standard. It doesn't rise to the level that we'd like to see this baby born. So on those bases, those same eugenics bases, we're going to choose to terminate life. And the state's saying, for once, we can't do that.
Yeah, they can't do that. And the second bill is the heartbeat bill.
Right.
And that heartbeat bill says that once there is a detectable heartbeat, you cannot do an abortion. And detectable heartbeats begin at around 6 weeks post-conception. This is about the time that a woman realizes that she may be pregnant, may not even know that she's pregnant at 6 weeks. So this is the earliest law in the country that says at this early stage you cannot do abortion once a heartbeat is detected. And you think, you know, before we had brain waves, what did you used to do to determine whether somebody was dead or alive? You determined whether or not they had a heartbeat, a pulse rate. And if they didn't, you would pronounce them dead. Here, if you got a detectable heart rate, why would you not extend protection. So these are the three laws: the heartbeat bill, the Down syndrome or the genetic defect, and then also the personhood bill, which now will allow people to vote on that in November of 2014.
These are exciting. And I'll tell you, the heartbeat bill in particular, Matt, there is both biblical scripture and Talmudic references that talk about the quickening. And they really treat this, we miss this a lot, they really treat this as an evidentiary matter. And it jumps out to lawyers. We look at it and say, wait a minute, we understand what's going on. There was a different status applied once the baby was what they called quickened. And what they meant was, now we have proof that the mother's testimony, we have proof that the baby is alive, that it's not just a stillbirth, that it's a living baby once it moves. What we've done through technology here is been able to say, you know what, we can get closer and closer to this quickening. And the baby's heartbeat.
Quickening was basically when the baby moved in the womb.
That's it.
And so when you realize there was a movement in the womb, you realize that there was an independent life there, and that's where common law and other law protected the child's life at that moment.
Yep.
Now, they didn't have the technology that we have today in terms of the stethoscopes and the other kinds of things now with regards to ultrasound to be able to determine life even before that. They didn't have DNA.
Right.
And now we know that your DNA is created at the moment of fertilization, that you are a unique, independent human being at that moment. So this law that says once a detectable heartbeat is detected, then you cannot have an abortion because you've got two individuals here.
Yep.
You've got two lives, and they have to be balanced against each other. If it's life for life, then that's one thing. But most abortions are not life for life. They are convenience. There is, in this situation, significant progress, but there's also, as I said, the personhood. Let me read the personhood amendment. It says, the term person or persons shall include every human being from the moment of fertilization, cloning, or the functional equivalent thereof. That's the amendment that the legislature passed and the citizens of North Dakota will vote on in November of 2014. That's huge. This is something that was promoted by Personhood USA and others. Liberty Counsel represents Personhood USA around the country. We are very pleased to be able to be involved in offering our expertise to defend all three of these pieces of legislation.
What fantastic insight. They literally are going to put before the people the opportunity to protect life all the way to fertilization. And I noticed, Matt, that they use the term, I think it's important to point out that's not an endorsement of cloning, but they use the term cloning. So even if you manipulate something genetically and you still cause fertilization, this law still says, however it comes about, once a human life exists, it's going to be protected.
That's right. So, and North Dakota is one of 3 states this year already that have passed very pro-life legislation. It began in Arkansas, and Arkansas had a heartbeat bill. That heartbeat bill was more like a 12-week bill. And then Arkansas had another bill as well, and those passed. Then North Dakota came out and passed its laws, and then Kansas came out with a law that is now working its way through. It hasn't yet been signed, but it may well be signed by the governor there. The governor is pro-life, Sam Brownback. Mm-hmm. He is the governor there instead of Kathleen Sebelius, who was the former governor of Kansas. Now she's at the HHS. She is very pro-abortion. There's been a sea change happen in the political landscape in the state of Kansas. So Arkansas, North Dakota, Kansas, 3 major states early in 2013 passing very pro-life legislation.
Very, very important to become involved in your states and to let them know that you support these bills and that how you plan to vote on them when it comes to their ratification. This is a very important time when for once in a long time, Matt, the pro-life cause, the right of protecting these babies is definitely showing great momentum.
And some people say, well, it's too early to go this far with these particular laws because we don't know what the Supreme Court will do. Well, are we going to wait forever? How much worse can it get than killing babies about 1 every 20 seconds or
That's
so,
right.
3 a minute or so, 50-some million since 1973. It's time to return America back to a culture of life where we protect the most vulnerable and innocent among us, and that begins in the womb. The only difference between a child in the womb and you is time. That's it. There's only time that separates the two. And I'm very pleased to see that these states are moving in the right direction, and Liberty Counsel is standing there to advance life. Join Liberty Counsel in your prayers and your financial support. Help us to advance life the family and religious liberty through litigation, through education, and through public policy. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. You can also make an online credit card contribution right there. You can go to libertycounsel.com, libertycounsel.com for additional information as well. Order some of our resources on pro-life. And go to our new website, lifeunited.org, lifeunited.org. Check that website out. It's a one-stop website for pro-life.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.